Is it wise to give a roster spot to Dee Ford? Would you like to set this up and explain the context here? Because I can
Yeah.
do it.
No, no, absolutely. I mean, anytime you give me a chance to talk,
Go
Grant,
for it.
I'm in, dude.
There you
No, so the
go.
hypothetical here, what brought this up is the idea of Ford's healthy through the preseason, and obviously, if that's the case, and he's playing in preseason games, he is probably going to make the roster. That seems like a logical outcome. The unintended consequence of that is someone else, obviously, on the fringe has to get cut.
Mm.
This is a talented team. Most likely, that person who's on the fringe who gets cut is going to get swooped up by another team. We all know it's probably going to be the Seahawks.
Oh, the
And then
Rams could be
early,
one of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
right? I
Yep.
mean, that's the worst in the division. And then obviously they go on to have a good freaking season. And early in the season, Ford has a setback. Now, what do you do? So that's the hypothetical. And I think you have to at least explore it as a reasonable percentage in the outcomes. It's certainly a larger percentage than you would have on an average player. So to me, it's a question of, is the talent worth the risk?
Yeah, because let's say goes out there, gets hurt week 3. Now the money, the roster spot, the guy you cut, it makes sense. Honestly, I don't expect Dee Ford to last the
Mm,
full season. I think he's going to go out there. It's almost feels like a kamikaze mission. Like, dude, you have
yeah.
spine problems, and you feel good now, and you're willing to go out there and get hurt again. Okay, well, good luck, and I respect. It's something like Ronnie Lott would do. I respect it, but I don't. I'm trying to be realistic here. I don't think he's going to make it through. But at the same time, I feel like the Niners are desperate in a sense. They need Dee Ford. If they were to shut down Dee Ford or cut him, there's no replacement at this time. They could have done that. They could have made this executive decision a month ago and signed Justin Houston, but they didn't. They're all in with Dee Ford and desperately need him to give them something. Probably because of that sunk cost fallacy. They already gave him a lot of money, and
Right.
they're going to keep throwing. They're not. They want something, just like they got something from McKinnon last year. So, yeah, I think you're right, but and we're gonna look. You're right, and we know what the Niners are gonna do. And if Dee Ford gets hurt week 1, week 2, week 3, like he did last year, week 1, he got hurt week 1. Then we can go back and pull up this tape and be like, Rob called it.
Well, I mean, I threw out that hypothetical. I actually fall on the side of, I think it's worth the risk. I think you have to,
They have to.
unfortunately.
I agree. Yeah,
You
have
have
to.
to. And it's because of what you mentioned there. The failure to address it earlier on, not to say that Justin Houston would have been some sort of a godsend, but it would have addressed the depth at that position that you don't have if Dee Ford doesn't play a single snap. So I think you have to be optimistic, and you have to hope that you make the right call on the rest of the fringe players, and that the one you end up cutting either makes it through to the practice squad or was the right guy to cut.
Yeah. Um, very, very interesting decision. We'll see what the Niners do,
I
or see
think
how it
that,
plays out.
yeah, Dee Ford's health is the difference between a great defense and potentially the best defense in the league.
Well, and Nick Bosa's right there with him. What's ironic is
Yes.
that Dee Ford had a much more complete training camp than Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa went
I,
through the motions essentially.
yes. But I think that they trust him implicitly with the workouts he does on the side and sending them the videotapes of everything that he's doing. I think that guy pushes himself when he's by himself and training with his brother, like not many people out there. I think it's
No,
pretty
that's fair.
spectacular how he keeps himself in that condition. I agree that he needs to get some live action at some point, but I'm kind of glad that they're holding him back.
True, absolutely. I just feel like they talk, there's being in shape and there's being in football shape. You've
Yes.
heard that before. And like being in football shape is the hitting part.
Right.
It's like building a callus, taking hits for a few days so your body builds up a ability to take it. And that's why Dee Ford is practicing despite the fact that he's so fragile, because he's trying to get into football shape and actually play. And I feel like if Nick Bosa was able to do this stuff, he would be, because I still think he would gain something from it, even though he's so advanced in his technique and stuff. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll just roll into the season without, he probably will roll into the season without any hits. No, I would think, look, I think at some point when the media's not around, he's going to start practicing in full before training camp
Right.
starts. He's not
Right.
just going to shut himself down for practice indefinitely. At some point, he'll come back. I just think it shows that he's maybe not as far along as we think.
That's fair. And it
Yeah.
was a complicated surgery as they described it, right?
Yes.
It wasn't a clear cut.
It
So
wasn't just
that is
ACL,
absolutely
it was ACL
fair.
and meniscus, I think.
I think you're right. He has to come back, and even a doctor, I'm sure, would say, although a doctor would say don't play football, but I'm sure that they would say you should probably come back at practice when things aren't full speed to make sure that you're good there before hitting the game. So I'm sure you're right that as soon as the media is not there, Nick will be in practices.